Okay, so this is the third episode of my podcast. We have a working title. I'm calling it The Art of Conversation for now. But my guest today is Morgan Seel. Morgan lives in Lake Tahoe on the California side. Morgan, when did you move to Lake Tahoe?
Been in Lake Tahoe for about 6-7 months now. Moved back in November, so just got through our first big winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, top 5 snowiest towns in the States. I don't know if it's all North America, so
It might be, actually. I might have heard that before, but all the pictures that I've seen are just absolutely stunning. So you've offered that I can come and visit. I might have to take you up on that offer at some point because it looks amazing. But you're an entrepreneur. You have your own business with your girlfriend, Kenna.
Yep.
Can you just explain how you would classify your business? Like, are you a videographer, photographer, or what type of business that you're doing, and what it's like working with your girlfriend?
Yeah, absolutely. So where to start, man? So I think I've been thinking a little bit about like how to classify ourselves lately and everything. Because originally, if you would ask me that question, even like a couple months ago, I'd probably say videographer, photographer. And I think for me, like that typically still like comes first to me in terms of like the creative side, because that's what the business is based around. But from a business perspective, it's really your strategy and branding marketer. So I mean, you do as a creative, especially a creative entrepreneur, you kind of like divide the two, and they're married, like the creative and the entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But there's definitely pieces of it that you have to kind of like just think about differently. Yeah, so that would be kind of how I classify it these days. It's like branding first when you're working with a brand.
Okay.
You really want to come in from the side of like you want to solve problems. So it's not just like you're creating a video or you're creating a photo. It's like, how are you solving a problem for a brand?
Okay, so I do want to ask you about your business now and how you do work for clients, but before I ask you about that, I want to take it back to when you first started as an entrepreneur. Do you know when that was and what it was you first started doing?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always had kind of an entrepreneurship like bug. Both of my parents were kind of like entrepreneur.
Oh, what did they do? What did they do?
My dad's had a ton of businesses over the years that he's gone through, like just all kinds of different stuff. My mom's been in real estate for a long time and worked for herself.
Okay.
So kind of always in that field where neither of my parents had like traditional full like just go into an office type of job.
Yeah.
And come back.
Yeah, I understand. So when you first started, I guess you could say, your content creation journey, which platform was that on?
So I started first on probably Instagram.
Okay.
I mean, I was into video and photo while still working a 9-to-5. So I worked in California and like kind of like the tech space, like a lot of people do. And then transferred over and really got into like the photo and video side with Instagram. And it was at a time during COVID when everything was kind of switching over to video. Yeah. Because TikTok had just blown up so much, and Instagram had like literally just launched Reels. Nobody really knew what they were the hell they were doing. Yeah. But I think my first love for content creation has always been with YouTube. Okay. I just think it's like as a platform, it's a lot more conducive to community, to telling stories. Yep. It's less like vanity metric centric. Right. And I just love that side of stuff. So.
And then what did you focus on when you first started with video?
Yeah, so I mean, what got me into it really was travel. I think like I had a buddy growing up, and when we would do like our boys trips together, we would all shoot stuff during the trip, and he would just throw together like a video edit, and like we would watch those video edits back all the time and just like reminisce every time we were together. So it was really around like travel, and I got watching like travel YouTubers and everything. Obviously starting that path during COVID, not the most conducive time to travel. Of course, yeah. But we did do some like road trips and things like that. So I think early starting out, it's kind of just like experimentation and seeing where the road takes you.
Was it vlog style that you started with, or what was the focus of your travel content?
Yeah, definitely vlog style. I think vlog style is like a cool entry method because it's like you're just telling your day-to-day story. Like the way that, I don't know if somebody taught me or like just like read, is like if you're struggling with content creation, just shift more toward documenting. Yeah. Yeah, so like document your life. Document, like everybody thinks, a lot of people are like, oh, my life's not interesting to document, but honestly, people just connect with stories, and you could tell a story in your room. Like I know there's a creator I follow, I can't remember the name of him right now, but 90% of his videos for YouTube take place in his tiny bedroom. And
Really?
he gets, because of that, those constraints, he comes up with like very interesting scripts, really interesting angles, just like these different stories where it's almost like he's telling the story of his, you know, his mind and like the human experience instead of relying as much on like, you know, the beautiful landscapes, which also tell a story in themselves.
Now, I assume that when you started with your travel content, I'd imagine that maybe whatever type of following you had, I would imagine you started with people that you kind of knew.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you probably pivoted to where you saw people that you didn't know that were maybe kind of following and interacting with some of your stuff. Do you remember maybe the specific piece of content, or if not a general time period when that shift happened?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really weird. I feel like with any kind of content creation, like nothing happens. It's like a slow burn. Like you think like you'll get like a trickle of new followers or likes or comments, and then like everything happens all at once.
Really?
Yeah.
So
at least that's how it happened for me.
Was it a quick domino effect?
Yeah, I mean, like probably the majority of like followers are from like a handful of videos where you get like millions and millions of views.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that was, I mean, probably like a year, 2 years ago now. But yeah, I mean, at the beginning, it's definitely interesting coming from more of a traditional background where most of my friends growing up and most of the people I was in contact with when I first started this like creative entrepreneurship journey are more in like the 9 to 5, you know, they're like working in finance, engineering, you know, like this kind of like, 9 to 5, like really, really good jobs, but just not in the creative field. So I remember starting out and being like, so, like not like kind of off put by like calling myself a videographer, a photographer, and like being vulnerable enough to put yourself out there. Because every time you post a piece of content, you're basically like sharing, you know, a vulnerable piece of yourself.
Yes.
But then the more you do it, the more it becomes part of your identity, the more confident that you become in every piece of content. And then eventually, you know, you'll get, like for me at least, I got like confident enough in my storytelling where you do have like that piece of content that blows up. But even then, when that happens, there's new challenges. You'll get like comments, like whether they're hateful comments or like,
those are the best.
Like you know you've made it and you have like an awesome piece of content when other people are arguing in your comment section. That's the best.
Yeah, my brother does, he does a little bit of comedy stuff. He's, I mean, I tell people like my brother's the funniest person that I know. So his kind of specialty has always been doing impersonations, and he also does some stand-up skits. Like he has a full-time job, but he also hustles a lot with his other stuff. And he has sent me before when he'll do an impersonation video, and then there's someone that will comment telling him that his video was shit, and then he has like random people that he doesn't know fighting for him in the comments. It's the best, isn't it? So you said that you're working in tech before you did this. Did you go to college after high school, or did you start working? So where did you go to college?
Yeah, so I went to a small university in the San Francisco Bay Area called the California Maritime Academy. So it's actually like, it's part of like the California university system, but it's specifically like built around people who were like want to work in the maritime industry, which is kind of funny. You know, I grew up like a lot around like the water and the sea, and used to in the Caribbean for a while. So very niche, small school. Didn't end up going to sea, which I'm pretty happy about. It's a long time to be out there staring at a lot of water. Yeah,
no kidding. But then you said that you're working in tech, and then if I remember correctly, you said you kind of started your content journey during COVID.
Right.
So did you quit your job and start this? Did you have an overlap? Like what was your transition?
Yeah, so transition was I was working for, I was working in operations at Lyft, which is like the main competitor to Uber in the States, and I think they're in a couple countries and everything. And then during COVID, they just did like huge layoffs. So I was on one of like this like experimental teams, which was an awesome place to be at when I started. Like you could do anything you want as long as you could like go to like your higher up and be like, this is like what I want to do, like this is how we're gonna like make it work. They would like sign it off, give you the budget and everything. Then that company went public, and like as soon as it went public, everything kind of changed. Yeah, it's like things just become more stringent. It has less of like that fun, like loose California startup type of atmosphere and like just like culture.
So wait, so you're saying that you worked for it when it was a private company at first?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah, so
interesting.
when it went public, and then after it went public, you know, they start, especially during COVID, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, like it's all about, you know, the shareholder value. And
Of
they gotta
course.
cut
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
cut off, like they cut, like a lot of people during COVID, they cut.
So you got cut?
teams. Yeah, so we
Yeah.
were like cut in like the second or third, whatever wave.
Sure.
But yeah, at the time I was like, you know, definitely pretty bummed. I'd never had like anything like that happen to me
Right.
before.
Did you take it personally a bit?
Yeah, definitely took it personally a bit,
Yeah.
even though it was just like, you know, it is just business.
Yeah.
And it's literally a global catastrophe. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I was like, you know, like maybe this is just like a sign to go a different direction. 'Cause
Right.
for a long time, I've been like, this is kind of like, it's a great job. It's fun in a lot of ways, but there's definitely like a level of just like not as fulfilling.
Right.
So yeah, that's where I kind of like jumped just straight in to the just the whole video and photo world.
Yeah. And then do you remember when you first started to monetize your socials?
For it definitely takes a while for
Yeah.
most people.
Of course.
I would say, I can't remember exactly when, but you basically what you do is you start out working, whether I feel like for photographers and videographers, there's a lot of like similar paths, and it's like it's a lot of people are in like real estate,
Okay.
or they do weddings, or they do some kind of like, you know, headshots or something like this. Same for video, like whether it's architecture or real estate or something like that. While you're building like your personal brand kind of on the side. And then the personal brand for me starting out was really around travel. So while we were traveling, we would monetize by working with like hotels or brands and things like this.
And how did you start? So you mentioned hotels, for example. So how did, I guess where I'm going with this is when you first start to kind of get that first time when a hotel actually takes you up on their offer, like did you just reach out to them and did you do it for free, or I'm curious to know how that first, I guess, paid gig or whatever kind of started with a hotel or whatever.
Yeah, so I think anybody who's just starting out, like one of the best things to do is to just shoot the content that you want to be paid for.
Right.
So it's like even if you're just staying at a hotel, let's say you're going on vacation, you're staying at a hotel.
Yeah.
Take a couple hours to shoot it as if you're getting paid to be there.
Right.
I mean, that's the same thing if you want to work with like outdoor brands. Like if you have a favorite pair of shoes, just like go out. Like you can make up a little script. You can just type it into ChatGPT or something. Get a shot list. Go out, take like a handful of shots, string them together, and that's how you start kind of building out your portfolio.
Right.
And then once you get this portfolio work, you know you're not going to land like a Patagonia or the Ritz-Carlton right off the bat.
Of course.
But like you can start building up whether it's working with like a local hotel or maybe like a smaller local brand, and then like that leads to one thing.
Right.
And you meet people, and like the connections lead to another thing, and eventually you can work for these bigger companies. But a lot of those bigger opportunities still come through outreach. So a lot of like the hotel collabs I've done have been literally just from like sending tons and tons of emails.
Emails, DMs. Yeah. Okay. I understand. So then with your business now, where would you say your biggest revenue streams from that business come from? Is it still hotels, or what types of industries do you
so primarily brands.
Okay.
Brands, branding work is typically what we do right now, especially because I'm in like a little bit of a, what do you call, like growth transition period, because I was traveling for like quite a long time for the last few years, and then I recently just moved to Tahoe, like we mentioned. So kind of shifting from doing a lot of like travel-based content, which I still do. Like we're out here and I'm shooting a brand while we're here.
Right.
But and then the hotels, but moving more toward a little bit more of like an outdoor sector. So with the goal of eventually working with like the North Faces and the Patagonias and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. So a question that I'm starting to ask everyone is, who would your dream client be and how would you pitch them? Yeah.
Oh man, that's good. I feel like I have so many dream clients. I think.
You can just pick one.
Yeah. Maybe I'll pick. Yeah, I'd say, well, okay. So for the Tahoe side of things, like the outdoor, just like the outdoor rugged adventure kind of feel, I would say dream client. I mean, it's gotta be Patagonia.
Okay.
It's just like, I've always loved their gear, you know, growing up in the Bay Area. It's like, it's a staple, Fratagonia, if you will.
I haven't heard that one.
The vest,
but I get it. Yeah.
But they just make really great gear. Love their stuff. I love how they're like kind of a pioneer in a lot of ways with like really pushing the storytelling behind their products. They'll have like these short films where they go to like the Arctic or something, and they got the gear and they're dropping it out of planes because they can't land, and it's like it tells the story of the gear in a way that just like it makes you want to be a part of the brand. So I think for me, the way to pitch it would literally be to do just that. So like go on some crazy expedition, bring like some of my favorite pieces of gear, or like, you know, whether it's their best sellers or maybe some of their new releases or something like this. And then plan out like this whole kind of narrative. Like I'd want to be telling a story, whether it was about me or somebody else.
Right.
And then shoot, just like a cool outdoor adventure campaign, and kind of pitch it to them that way.
Okay, so something that I'm also curious to ask people about in the realm of entrepreneurship is, what is the thing that you struggled with the most when you started? And if you need help, if you need a second to think about it, I'll tell you what I struggled with the most when I started was pricing myself and quoting clients. It's something that I faced huge imposter syndrome from. And I think, in the last year and a bit, I've gotten significantly better at it. I still do struggle with it, but I just wanted to know maybe if that's something that you share, or if you have another example that you want to discuss.
Yeah, I'd say there's two things, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think for me was definitely imposter syndrome. You know, like getting into like a creative field, photography, videography, influencer, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Coming from like a more traditional field, it's kind of like outwardly feel like a lot of people where they're like, what are my friends going to think? What are my family going to think? Like, you know, all that kind of thing. So that was one of the big ones, just like mentally struggling with overcoming. It's like that new identity. Like, you know, literally a new identity. But I gotta say, like, pricing, pitching, it's like you go into a creative field because you want to be creative, and then you don't realize that you probably spend like maybe 30% of the time actually like shooting and editing, right? And the rest of the time you're doing business stuff, so
administrative pitching, stuff.
You're doing pitching, you're pricing. The pricing question always sucks. So that's
well, I would say that one thing how entrepreneurship changed me in terms of mindset is, until I started my own business, for the most part, my entire life, when I was working a job, I had an employer that would direct deposit into my account every 2 weeks. And then now it's completely on my shoulders. So it's like, if I don't do it, I mean, I work for myself, by myself for now, but if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. If I don't get a client, or if I don't get paid, right? So it changed the way that I think in life altogether, because I felt that it gave me a lot more responsibility. And I also, though, found that my incentives were more aligned, because it's like, the more I work, in theory, the more I get paid, right? Whereas when you're on a salary and you're getting paid every 2 weeks, and you might have a bonus and whatever else, but for the most part, if you want to mail it in on a Friday afternoon, you can do that. Now, if I do that, that means, in theory, that I might not be getting paid as much. No. The other end of that coin, though, is that when I do need a break, if it is a nice day and it's 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I want to go for a walk, I can do that as well. So can you relate to any of that, just in terms of mindset, with what I just said?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. 100% relate with all of that. Yeah. It's definitely like being an entrepreneur is a double-edged coin in a lot of ways. Like you do trade the freedom. Like I wouldn't say you have more of different freedoms. You don't necessarily have more freedom, because there is that freedom of being able to check out. There's that freedom of getting the check that comes in, twice a month, and you can rely on it. But it's just like where your values lie. For me, freedom means location freedom. It means time freedom. And I think to me those are like the most valuable things. So as an entrepreneur, that's like, it's kind of the best avenue toward that. I mean, we're literally out here in Norway right now, and I'm like
cloudy and rainy today, but it's a beautiful spot.
But shooting for a brand while we're out here. Like I can send some pitches in the morning. But like you said too, like there is the flip side where, in a sense, the more you work, the more you get paid. But also sometimes there's this feeling like you're working and not getting paid.
Oh, absolutely.
You send like all these pitches, you do this outreach, and particularly with like the marketing side of things. Outreach.
Yeah, well, to me, I spent a lot of time on my free time in the last few years when I was becoming a lawyer, just learning about marketing in general, just how different companies market themselves. And when I started to understand the mechanics of it more, I mean, I did go to business school as well, so I had a bit of a background in that. But when I started to understand the mechanics of marketing, I thought that I would be able to apply it to sell my own product, service, whatever that is. And it made me excited to want to be able to do that. So I wanted to put myself in a position where I wasn't necessarily just doing the substantive work of my job, but I also wanted to kind of get that creative aspect with my marketing, right? And I will say, and just touch on something we were just discussing, sometimes I will say, like, one of the pain points of being an entrepreneur is sometimes it's like, I don't know when I'm going to get paid next, right? Right? Yeah. But then sometimes it's like, you get paid like by 5 different clients in like 5 days, and it's great because then it's like, you get a bunch of cash flow all at once. But is that something that you can relate to? I mean, I can be honest with you right now. There are some times that I get a little anxious where it's like, I don't know when I'm getting paid next, right?
No, 100%. Yeah. No, especially starting out, man. I mean, and you got to like go about it in different ways, like always be learning. I think that's like the most important thing. As like in the entrepreneurship field, depending on like if you're a service or a product based business, in the service industry, I think one of the best things you can do for security as an entrepreneur is kind of model your offers as retainers first. Because then if you have a retainer, even if it's not with like the sexiest client, like you could be doing videography for like a construction firm, but if they're paying, however much, and you know that you're going to get that every single month, or even if it's quarterly, like that's money you can count on, where then you can spend more time and energy toward working on those more like passion projects. So like whether it's like the Patagonia and like putting those pitches together and like really putting your heart into that side of things.
Well, man, it was great being able to talk entrepreneurship with you and kind of learn more about your business model and how you got started. I find these conversations incredibly valuable. I know that at least one other person out there will as well. So Morgan, thanks so much, man, for taking the time with me today.
Absolutely.
And I want to come out and visit you in Lake Tahoe. I just keep saying that. It looks so beautiful. I feel like it's something I got to do. So I appreciate your time again. And subscribe for more. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these, a lot more of conversations with different entrepreneurs on our trip and when I get home and otherwise. And have a great day.
Peace. Subscribe.